The world had become unrecognizable. What was once good was now corrupted. What was once beautiful was now defiled. The earth was filled with violence. Men lied, stole, murdered, and exalted themselves as gods. The human conscience had been seared. Right had become wrong, wrong acceptable. Creation groaned, and God saw. He saw that the wickedness of man was great upon the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. The Creator, who had formed man from the dust, now grieved. He regretted having made them, and so he pronounced judgment. I will wipe mankind, whom I have created, from the face of the earth, men and animals, and creatures that move along the ground, and birds of the sky, for I regret that I have made them. But there was one man who was different, Noah. In the midst of a corrupt and perverse generation, Noah was righteous. He walked with God. He did not conform to the practices of the world. His life was a silent protest against the sin surrounding him. While others sought pleasure, Noah sought obedience. While the world laughed at holiness, he embraced it. And God spoke to Noah. The end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence. Behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make for yourself an ark of gopher wood. Noah did not respond with doubt, nor did he laugh as others might. He simply listened and obeyed. For decades, he built the ark amidst mockery, a colossal ship on dry land. Each hammer strike was a warning, each plank a silent plea. Return to God. But no one listened, no one cared. As Noah preached righteousness with his life and his labor, men laughed, they mocked, they followed their desires. They married and were given in marriage, built empires, accumulated wealth. They believed life would go on forever, but the window of mercy was closing. The ark was nearly complete. The construction was complete. After decades of hard labor, mockery, and solitary obedience, the ark stood ready. Massive, sealed with pitch inside and out, with compartments, levels, and a single window at the top. It was the greatest symbol of God's mercy, and the most underestimated. Then God spoke one final time to Noah, "Enter the ark, you and all your household, for I have found you righteous in this generation." And the animals began to arrive. 2 by 2 they came. Elephants, lions, eagles, wolves, giraffes, snakes, frogs, each one guided supernaturally by an unseen hand. It was a surreal sight, undeniable, and yet people laughed. "Nature's gone mad," they scoffed. "This old lunatic really believes this?" But Noah didn't answer. He simply watched. His heart was heavy. He knew what was coming. He knew these were the final hours of an ancient world about to be swept away. With his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, he gathered supplies, secured the final compartments, and entered the ark with his wife. Then God shut the door. It wasn't Noah. It wasn't a machine. It was God. The heavy wooden door sealed from the outside. The line between mercy and judgment had been drawn. The silence that followed was deep. For 7 days, nothing happened. Outside, they mocked even more. Some banged on the ark, others threw parties. "Maybe he missed the date," they laughed. But inside the ark, there was peace. There was waiting. There was faith. And then on the 8th day, the sky broke open. Rain fell, first gently, then heavily, then violently, but it wasn't just rain. The fountains of the deep burst open, the earth split. Geysers of water exploded from the ground. Rivers rose, oceans surged, and fear spread. The same people who mocked now ran in terror. They climbed hills, held their children, pounded on the ark, screamed for help, but the door was sealed. Water-covered streets, villages, entire cities. What was land became a furious sea. What was voice became drowned silence. The world that had rejected God now faced the judgment he had warned of. But inside the ark, there was life. There the world did not end. It was preserved. It was protected because the ark was not just a vessel. It was a reflection of grace, one door of entry, one salvation given to those who believed, even if the entire world refused. And the ark floated. There was no more ground, only water, wind, and the memory of what had been lost. But even in judgment, God remembered Noah. Time passed. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Outside there was only water, no bird songs, no sign of trees, of fields, of life. Only the roar of the wind, the crash of waves, and the groaning of the ark. But inside there was life. There was waiting. There was faith. Noah and his family prayed, fed the animals, and cared for one another. It was a quiet routine but full of meaning. The world outside had been judged, but God was still upholding what he had chosen to preserve. The waters had erased corruption, but the promise of restoration hovered over the ark like an invisible hope. Then God remembered Noah, not because he had forgotten, but because the time of grace had arrived. A wind blew over the earth and the waters began to recede. The fountains of the deep were sealed. The floodgates of heaven were closed. The rain ceased. For the first time in a long time, the silence of the waters was replaced with something new, expectation. Months passed until the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Still no dry land, but it was a sign. Earth was returning. Justice had been done. Now came the restart. Noah waited. He sent out a raven which flew back and forth. Then he released a dove, but it found no place to rest. 7 days later, he sent it again. It returned with an olive leaf in its beak, a symbol of peace, of return, of new life. 7 more days passed, and the dove did not return. It was time. Dry land was near. Then God spoke again. Come out of the ark, you and your family, and all the creatures with you. Multiply and fill the earth. And Noah came out. The world before him was unrecognizable, quiet, pure, cleansed. There were no cities, no walls, no noise, only soft soil, fresh air, and the opportunity for a new beginning. And the first thing Noah did wasn't build a house or plant crops, it was worship. He built an altar, offered sacrifices, and God was pleased. The Lord said in his heart, "Never again will I curse the ground because of man, even though every inclination of his heart is evil from childhood. Never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done." Then God made a covenant. He placed the first rainbow in the sky, a visible promise that never again would the waters destroy all life on earth. Judgment had passed. Hope had prevailed. The ground was dry. After more than a year on the waters, the waiting had finally ended. The ark creaked as it settled on solid ground. The silence now was different. It wasn't absence, it was peace. Then God spoke. "Come out of the ark. You and your wife, your sons and their wives. Bring out every living creature with you, so they may spread out, be fruitful, and multiply upon the earth." Noah obeyed. He stepped onto dry land with humility, not as a conqueror, but as a servant. The air was pure, as if God's breath still hovered over the renewed world. The sky was bluer, the wind gentler. Creation, washed by justice, awaited a new beginning. And Noah's first act was not to build shelter, nor to search for food. He built an altar. There he offered sacrifices of gratitude. Clean animals, set apart for this very purpose from the beginning, were offered to the Lord as an expression of reverence, awe, and worship. And God received it. The Creator, who judged righteously, now answered with grace. "Never again will I curse the ground because of man, even though every inclination of the human heart is evil from childhood. Never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done." And then the sky responded with light, not just sunlight, but a bow of promises. For the first time in history, the rainbow appeared. It was not mere optics. It was a celestial covenant, a symbol suspended between heaven and earth. A reminder, God remembered mercy. This is the sign of the covenant I make between me and all living creatures with you. I have set my bow in the clouds, and I will remember the everlasting covenant. While dew still clung to newly sprouting leaves, Noah and his family gazed at the bough. They didn't know what the future would bring. They didn't know how the world would rebuild. But they knew this: God was with them. A new era had begun, a second chance. Humanity once again stood at the crossroads: follow the Creator or fall again. The rainbow still hovered in the sky, a divine signature suspended between clouds and mountains. The earth was fresh, the silence was deep, but not empty. It was the silence of peace, of potential, of a new beginning. Noah and his family, 8 survivors of an extinct era, now stood before their greatest challenge: to rebuild the world. They had no armies, no cities, no abundance of tools. But they had something greater: God's blessing. The ark, now empty, remained as a witness to both judgment and mercy. The altar still released the smoke of Noah's sacrifices. God had accepted it, and now he established an everlasting covenant: be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. With these words, the Creator renewed the call once given in Eden. The same mission, a new beginning, but this time with the memory of what sin could cause. Then God gave Noah instructions. He declared that nature would be under mankind's authority, but that blood, the symbol of life, was not to be shed without consequence. God set boundaries, justice, and a reminder. Every human life was precious, made in His image. And again He spoke: this is the sign of the covenant I make between me and you and every living creature. I have set my bow in the clouds. The rainbow was not merely beautiful, it was sacred, a reminder that God is just, but also merciful. A sign that even after judgment, He offers hope. And the days passed. Shem, Ham, and Japheth began to build. They planted, they cared for the animals, they started families. The first villages were born. Small fires lit at night bore witness to human survival, warmed by faith and memory. But even in a clean, pure world, the heart of man still carried shadows. Sin had not been drowned in the flood. It lived in the flesh. And so, God remained watchful. He knew another plan would be needed. That true redemption would one day come through a descendant, the promised one. Noah lived many years after the flood. He saw his sons spread out, he saw the land bloom again, but he also saw the signs of old corruption reappear. Small acts, small seeds. Humanity's story restarted, but the battle between light and darkness, faith and rebellion would continue, and the bow in the sky, the divine covenant, would continue to remind them. Judgment had passed, but the choice would always belong to man.